This match of StarCraft 2 is the craziest series that was played during the Gamers Without Borders tournament. Now, Gamers Without Borders is also kindly sponsoring today's video, but I will tell you what the final results of the tournament are in just a little bit, because this series, it starts off with a bang. So, game number one, it's a best of three. We find ourselves on Dragon Scales, and if you may have already noticed, our Terran player here with the blue SCVs is sending a couple of those bad boys towards the other side of the map. He's from Mexico, and he goes by the name of SpeCial. His opponent also going for a special strategy with the red Zerg pieces. We have Elazer, and Elazer, of course, is from Poland. Now, would you look at this? Here's the situation. Elazer, allegedly, up to this point, hasn't been playing a lot of StarCraft 2. At least that's what the people are saying, okay? Apparently, he hadn't been playing a whole lot of StarCraft 2 over the last couple of months since IEM Katowice, and SpeCial, of course, has been looking really strong. I've covered quite a few of his matches. Now, SpeCial scouts that Elazer decides to go for a proxy hatch, and he still doubles down and decides to go for a triple Rex proxy on the other side of the map. And that's the reason why I'm not going to give you the tournament results right from the get-go, because this match is starting off with an absolute bang. Elazer going double gas on the back of this as well, so that can only mean he wants to go for a very quick Roach Warren. As soon as the spawning pool is done, and obviously with the hatchery on the other side of the map, he's going to be able to start making roaches very close to his opponent's main base. In the meantime, we do have some marine production right over here for SpeCial, who knows exactly what his opponent is going for. I'm not entirely sure actually if, well, Elazer has picked up on the fact as well. Nah, I don't think so. That his opponent also realizes what's going on. The problem right here, though, for SpeCial is that if indeed it is going to be the Roach variant, which it turns out to be, Roaches and Ravagers are obviously really good against Marines, especially Ravagers when microed correctly. Since they outrange Marines by quite a lot, they can indeed take them on in a head-on battle. Obviously, if Stimpack were to be a thing, or, you know, any additional upgrades are added on top of the Marines, maybe it'd be a different story, but just Marines against straight-up Ravagers, it's usually not a good story right here for these blue bad boys, who do manage to snipe one of the very first Overlords here. So at this point, Elazer knows what he's playing against. He's scouting his opponent's main base. He sees the triple depot wall off over there. SpeCial decides to go for a bunker right over here on top of the high ground, as he's now forcing his opponent to make roaches right over here inside of the main base. I think originally he was planning on mostly building them right over there on the other side of the map, but he's only gonna commit to a single one there to put a little bit of pressure on top of that high ground of our Terran. Drones are being taken care of right here, and what I thought was a questionable choice here, eventually an SCV, that's not supposed to happen, ends up sniping one of the roaches. What I thought was a questionable decision to double down on the marine production here, regardless of the proxy hatch, is turning out to be pretty decent here so far. That Roach at the very least should really get back to, yeah, a little bit of damage there. But I love the bunker here, man. This bunker is going to be difficult to break. I believe it takes about 7 corrosive biles to kill this in one fell swoop. And obviously with the SCV around here, it can repair it a little bit too. It becomes really difficult for Elazer to now actually break out of his main base. He's still putting on pressure though. Obviously Terran also has committed a lot of SCVs on the other side of the map. And well, on top of that also now to chase down that one Roach. Another Roach over here inside of the main base of Elazer does get shut down. SpeCial decides to target fire a couple of his opponent's drones as well. Only 12 of those bad boys remain. Okay, the Ravager also gets sniped. A lot of very low HP drones. Another one ends up falling there, but at least one of them was saved by morphing into a Spore Crawler. Okay, so here's the situation. We have an orbital command right here for SpeCial. He's got a whole lot more SCVs. Sure, quite a few of them have gone down as well, but SpeCial at this point is pretty much doubling his opponent's economy, especially when mules are mining. He is just gonna get so much more income. Now, so much, you gotta, you know, put a little asterisk right next to it, because both players are barely mining a couple hundred minerals a minute, but there is more income right here for the player in blue, and that's really all that matters in a game of StarCraft. Then again, though, Elazer does have the higher tech units. Okay, he needs to be careful. He really needs to keep as many of these roaches alive. Especially Ravagers are difficult to deal with. Plus, on top of that, sure, SpeCial might have a lot of money right now. He might have more income, but he wants to start building Marines from his own main base as well. So at this point, he's finding himself in a bit of a pickle. I mean, he's at 400 minerals. He can't really spend his money very effectively. As a matter of fact, he decided, you know what, my opponent is going for what is likely a one base all-in. I'll go ahead and add on a couple more barracks inside of my main base. Tech Lab coming up here as well. Obviously, Marauders would be amazing. He's trying to buy as much time as possible. Elazer bringing his Overlord a little bit closer to the ramp as well. He wants to bile this down. And now the Ravager count is growing. Sure, there may not be a lot of production coming out of the Zerg's main base, but he's producing enough to continuously pump Ravagers out of the roaches here and out of those cocoons that spawn on the other side of the map. So Corrosive Biles can start landing. We're now at the point as well where Corrosive Biles can be used like that. And with like one follow-up attack, I do believe, yeah, that he can start thinking about sniping that bunker too. A lot of SCVs, he should move forward. Right now? Okay, not the case. I think he can get it down if he decides to commit, but obviously he doesn't really know exactly how many units there are available right here for the Terran player. Okay, bunker number 1 will indeed be sniped. Another Roach is available right now. Elazer can morph that into a Ravager too. Marauders are coming up. Marauders are awesome against Roaches. They're still not bad, of course, against Ravagers either, but they do miss out on a little bit of that bonus damage. Low HP Ravager now shuffled to the back. Elazer is pushing up towards this high ground over here, trying to maximize the damage that he can do. He's putting all of his eggs in one basket. SpeCial holds on for now. He's put another bunker right over there on top of the high ground too, but his army supply really isn't that amazing. He needs to be careful against these Corrosive Biles. He eats a couple of Biles to the face. Ravagers are starting to take down all of those heavy hitters from the Terran as well. That Marauder wants to desperately run back to the safety of the bunker, but he does not get into the main base. Then again though, there's another layer to the wall-ups right here of our Terra player. This time around, it's supply depots together with a bunker. So, I mean, SCVs have gotten sniped as well. SpeCial has been putting quite a few resources too in producing those additional workers. So, obviously, if he's spending money on additional workers, he's not spending money on army, right? I mean, he's been trying to fight with his SCVs, but it turns out the SCVs in general, not that great of a fighting unit. Nice shuffling there once again. Elazer microing back to low HP units. Supply depots here on top of the ramp are starting to fall, and SpeCial now hits a supply block. He starts up a depot at this point, and that is a gigantic error. That one should have started up a little while ago. Still though, yeah, we have the orbital command, so he can throw a little supply depot out of the high heavens. So at the very least, he's gonna be able to continue producing units for a little while longer. That Overlord here, super low at hit points as well. This Overlord is what is providing high ground vision for those Corrosive Biles, so super critical. And there we go, we have enough Biles to properly start shutting down those bunkers without really a whole lot of trouble. More Roaches are being produced over here. Elazer trying to really pull a rabbit out of a hat, but he is starting to break our Terran player. It's not game over yet though. SpeCial's production at this point is looking quite good. He's finished up Stimpack. He's going into the Combat Shields research as well. Obviously, every single time he will use any of those abilities on his Marines and his Marauders, there's no Medivacs, so he's effectively dealing damage to his own army too. He needs to wait for the perfect opportunity. Get as many units out as possible, hopefully before the Roach Ravager ball grows out of control. The Overlord, by the way, has gone down, and this is apparently the moment where he pulls the trigger. Very conservative biling right there by Elazer, trying his very best to shut all of this down. That is still, though, a lot of Roaches and Ravagers, and it seems that Elazer has enough to shut this down for now. Then again though, more Overlords are now available here too. The Roaches and the Ravagers trying their best to take down all of those Marines. Once again, a couple SCVs have gone down. Nice control here though by SpeCial as he kills the units inside of his main base. Elazer right now. Well, he doesn't really have much of a pivot here, right? It's not like he can transition away from this. If this Marine Marauder ball grows and he can no longer kill them as they pop out of those structures, he's gonna be in a lot of trouble. So I like this move over here, tanking as much damage as possible. Obviously those cocoons, they do have quite a bit of health. Valiant effort right there by our Polish Zerg, but it's SpeCial who obtains the victory in game number 1. Alright, so I saw game number 1 of this best-of-3 series as it was being played live, but I haven't seen the rest of it just yet. And from what I understand, it gets even crazier. So I'm hoping I have a little bit of time so I can actually discuss the results of Gamers Without Borders. Just a low ground wall off, fair enough. No proxy hatchery this time around. Okay, fantastic. So, let's talk about the results of Gamers Without Borders. In case you're unfamiliar, Gamers Without Borders is a tournament that just wrapped up that was effectively a qualifier for Gamers 8, which is a massive StarCraft tournament, and they have other esports as well that will be taking place later this year in the summer. For StarCraft 2 in particular, there's a $400,000 prize pool, which is honestly really cool. At the beginning of the year, we weren't entirely sure what StarCraft 2 was gonna look like this year, but Gamers 8 has certainly created a lot of hype. So, the 16 players that managed to qualify themselves for Gamers 8. Here we go. I love these pictures, by the way. So first off, in Stage 1, the first half of the tournament, Bjorn, Solar, Hero Marine, Serral, Dark, Maru, Spirit, and Raynor managed to qualify. I mean, just look at that picture right there of Maru. Hero Marine ended up taking down Oliveira 3-0, so the current world champion of StarCraft 2 got defeated by Hero Marine. Hero Marine, of course, really good at Terran versus Terran, but that was certainly a bit of a surprise for me. However, in the second stage of the tournament, the one that was played last weekend, Classic, Cure, Clem, and Showtime, who, you know, seemed very surprised himself as well, they managed to qualify, as well as Hero, Creator, Elazer, and, well, Mr. Oliveira himself. Initially, I wasn't entirely sure if we're gonna have any Protosses, but luckily the Protoss players managed to strike back, and in the end, we have a very good distribution, actually, of Terran, Protoss, and Zerg. Now, maybe those results, they may seem like a bit of a spoiler for this particular series, but it actually isn't. Both SpeCial and Elazer, they managed to drop down to the lower bracket eventually. So, even though this series, yeah, maybe seeing SpeCial not in that list and you did see Elazer in the list makes you think that Elazer is the one who's definitely going to win this series. Not quite the case, as well, both of them ended up losing some games in the end. And since this was a double elimination tournament, they met in the upper bracket. Now, if you want to learn more about Gamers Without Borders and Gamers 8, I'll go ahead and post a link to all of their social media and their websites down below in the description of this video. And once again, thanks to Gamers Without Borders for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so what exactly do we have over here? Because, okay, this is a bit funky over here already, right? Like this little cursed wall up here at the front for SpeCial, not something we normally see, as he's proxying a starport on the other side of the map. Now, as you know, I'm a big fan of SpeCial. This man has been playing a lot of very fun games. Over the last few months, really ever since, I guess a little before the StarCraft 2 World Championships, he has been playing a lot of battlecruisers and just a lot of cheeky games in general. Is this gonna be a Liberator, or are we gonna go for a Tech Lab? Like, what exactly is the plan here? This is, of course, very close. Yeah, it's gonna be a Liberator. I think that makes sense. This is very close to the side of the Zerg. So at this point, Elazer, well, he's maybe expecting a Liberator to show up, maybe like 4.5 minutes or so, maybe 5 minutes into this game at earliest, but this one is going to show up much sooner than that. Luckily though for Elazer, he's not too far out into the map just yet, so these queens are going to be critical. SpeCial now also actually trying to hurt these queens a little bit, just to try and slow down their HP. He's opened up with a bunch of additional Reapers here too, which is not something we normally see either. There's more and more Reaper production. That Liberator is just about to pop. This kind of reminds me, oh, getting a queen here would be massive, and he does get a queen. This kind of reminds me a little bit of a Terran versus Terran build. This is not something you normally see against Zerg, but... oh, that one Hellion. Okay, that one will get sniped. This is not something you normally see against Zerg, but just softening up these queens is massive, though, because they are going to be the main answer right here. Getting one more! Yes! They're going to be the main answer right here to this bad boy. This Liberator already getting in a whole lot of kills. 3 queens do start up immediately right here for Elazer. He needs to try and get more and more of those units out, but this is certainly going to be very annoying. That being said, though, this is a big investment as well from the Terran player. Sure, he's done quite a bit of damage, but has he done enough damage, right? Whenever you commit to this sort of aggression, you need to justify it. And so far, I actually don't think that's really happened yet. Third command center is coming up on the back of this eventually, so that's, I guess, nice. The thing about the third command center, though, is that it's much later than in a, well, what we consider a conventional build order from Terran. Normally, that one is already done at this stage in the match. Okay. So, Reaper, just trying to distract the queens, I suppose. Yeah, oh, I love that little grenade! That grenade actually threw her inside of the liberation zone. In the end, though, the queens, I mean, they managed to get it done. Liberator, apparently, that was in the natural in the meantime as well. Okay, forced to retreat, and it is now going to be tasked with protecting the starport that's now producing a reactor of all things. I don't see this happening, though. The reactor kind of surprises me a bit. Oh, we're going to go for medevac production. Really? Okay, well, in the meantime, a couple of Hellions over here at the bottom. This is dealing damage, though. This is a lot. Yeah, maybe the starport itself. Ooh, maybe the starport itself wasn't really that great. But it's been a distraction for the other Terran units to really get some work in, and that actually justifies this opener. So 21 drones have gone down here in total. We still have a reactor going down, another attempt at the reactor. I thought a tech lab would maybe make a little bit more sense, so I don't know, we could go for a battlecruiser, right? Which seems to be something that SpeCial is very fond of, but apparently that's not what we're doing. Third command center has now landed on the low ground. The thing, though... Okay, I think he meant to go for a changeling there or something like that. But anyways, the thing, though, about this opener is that these medevacs, right, are always going to be contested. It's going to be really difficult for Terran to really get these units out in larger numbers. Now, you don't need a million well, a million liberators would be nice. You don't really need a million medevacs. You maybe want to get like 8 or so to support your bio army at least reasonably well. But at this point, I think SpeCial probably could have flown this all the way back home. But I guess he wanted them sooner rather than later. One queen has been tasked with this as well. I think as soon as that Liberator falls, which is, well, gonna happen here very soon if he's not careful. He's just gonna... Is he gonna siege it up again? Please siege it up again. That'd be so fun. Okay, nah, it doesn't matter. I think this Liberator will be taken care of eventually, and with that, this shenanigans over here too. Now, one of the queens is obviously deep off creep. There are a couple medevacs out. There's an Overlord over here too, trying to provide some additional movement speed, but the reinforcing Marines coming in clutch. They actually do save the starport for now. Are we gonna go for another reactor special? That would really crack me up. I don't think that's gonna happen. Fun fact, by the way. I mean, I don't know if I have time to share my fun fact with you, because I think SpeCial is going to go for continued aggression. But when you have 2 medevacs building and they're like halfway done, and then the reactor gets killed, the medevacs will start coming out one at a time, but with their, I guess you could call it like the production cycle, right? The timer that they had while the reactor was still around. Anyways, we've got some aggression right over here. SpeCial is gonna, well, I think get shut down here eventually. Bane speed is not done just yet, but this is an overwhelming amount of Zerg. That being said, though, it's mostly Queens and Zerglings. That Widowmine, ooh, careful now. That Widowmine ended up dealing more damage to the Terran than it ended up dealing to the Zerg. Eventually, right there, though, Zerg does push it all back, despite the fact that he did take quite a bit of damage. This medevac is gonna pop out, but now I think SpeCial. It's about time we fly the starport all the way back home. Elazer doesn't really believe it either, so he's gonna chase around this this starport over here. Has a single Zergling right-clicked on top of the starport to chase it around. Baneling speed is gonna finish up in 10 seconds, as you can see on the right side of the screen, and that's gonna make the defense so much easier. But all of these traits, though, are incredibly cost-efficient right here for SpeCial. Maybe the original starport units didn't get that much value, but the follow-up has been incredibly nice. If we look right here at the resources lost, yeah. So maybe a lot of gas was lost, right? So that's mostly, I guess, in those Reapers and the Liberators and a couple of the Widowmines and whatnot. The mineral count really is important right here at this stage in the game. Usually later on in the match we look a lot at the gas, but at this point, minerals are more valuable. Mr. Elazer has lost a whole lot more of those. Okay, so Burrow is going to finish up here momentarily for Elazer. That can be used very effectively with Banelings, but also just well, block expansions. Maybe block this starport from landing too. The Zergling's still chasing that around. The strangest game of fetch right over here with that Zergling. Anyhow, Hydro Den on the back of this too, so we're going to go into Hydroling Bane. Elazer is trying to stabilize here. And it's going to be important for him, because at this point in the game, everything's been a little bit crazy. He's been trying to play a regular macro game here, but SpeCial is trying desperately to prevent that from happening. Now going for a Doom Drop. This medevac here has 6 health. Queens are already waiting. Okay, that was an important turnaround. I think if it would have committed there, the Queens probably would have gotten 2 of those medevacs while unloading, and that would have been a disaster. In the meantime, we've got a command center built on location. Zerglings managed to shut that down easy peasy. There's more and more aggression over here as well. Widowmine here trying to get some work done. Medevacs are once again gonna head into the main base, but I think SpeCial is getting a little carried away right here with the aggression. In the meantime, those Zerglings, okay, that were tasked with killing that 4th command center, they're now being halted in the natural. In the meantime, there's another medevac drop over here too. Widowmine's trying to deal some damage, but they also managed to get shut down. Okay, maybe Elazer hasn't been playing the game as much lately. Maybe he's been taking a bit of a break, but he still has it. At least that's the word on the street. He hasn't been playing in a whole lot of online tournaments, and usually that's an indicator players are taking a bit of a break. But you don't unlearn playing StarCraft 2, and obviously it was looking very, very solid earlier this year. I think when people say they haven't been playing too much, it probably means they've been playing only like 100 games a week or so. Maybe a little less than that, but generally speaking, whenever pro gamers say they haven't been playing that much, it means a little bit different, okay, than you and me saying we haven't played too much. It's still their job, it's still what they do for a living, and you want to make sure you, at the very least, maintain your basic mechanics, because once those start going, man, if you don't play the game for a little while, and you don't have your mechanics in order anymore, it is going to be very difficult to stay up to speed, especially when the games get a little bit crazy. So maybe that's also the reason why SpeCial is actually playing this style that he's going for. I think he just really enjoys playing it, but yeah, this is also the type of style that if you are a little bit rusty, it's difficult to hold. And you can maybe see this reflected right now in the resource count. Elazer should be able to, well, slam this army away, but at this point, that's not the case. He is at 2,500 resources in the bank. He's producing Zerglings right now, but that's really not the unit that he needs. Okay. Well, he's got Hydras. I think he's got the numbers here eventually. Yeah, just imagine if there were, well, 2,000 resources worth of units more available right now for Elazer. He's gonna shut this down. He now recognizes as well that the Hydras do have their ranged upgrade, but they don't have their movement speed upgrade yet, so muscular augments is gonna be not too far behind. As Elazer though is going +1 missile, SpeCial is going +3 for the infantry weapons, which is a very, very nice weapon to have. That being said though, 2-2 has already finished up for the Zerglings and the Banelings here as well, so Elazer honestly at this point is looking really good. Yeah, he is all the way up to 153 supply right now, but honestly, as soon as he spends his bank, I think he can max out. Okay, he went back, yeah, he went back to hitting all of his queen injects. Made some additional macro hatcheries in the main base as well. This is, of course, something that Dark likes to do quite frequently, too, where he adds on a couple more macro hatcheries because he's very aggressive with the queens, and he's just accepting the fate that he's not a robot, and he's not going to be hitting every single one of his queen injects perfectly, and I think that's a fine choice. The Hive, though, is a little late. I would have liked to see that Hive a little bit sooner. Elazer, up to this point, though, has seen his opponent really only up to 3 base economy, so if you're only going up against 3 base Terran, you don't really need Hive tech that desperately either. In the meantime, though, we do have once again a medevac drop unscouted here on the right side of the map. Planetary Fortress is coming up. Drones over here, though, or sorry, SCVs over there, though, had to run away as the Orbital Command also decides to lift off and go into the main base. SpeCial took down a base, but yeah, Elazer hasn't done so yet. So I think if he actually, I would like this a whole lot better if the Planetary finished without losing 19 SCVs, or even more over here now as well, closer to the 3rd base of the Terran. Yeah, I think this is actually the beginning of the end right here. Elazer just has too much stuff. He's been spending his resources a whole lot better over the last couple of minutes, and because of that, his army has grown immediately, right? SpeCial probably wondering, yo, what's going on here? How in the world did you struggle defending earlier, but now suddenly you have this massive army? Okay, in the end, it is gonna be our Polar Zerg who gets a point on the board. And that takes us to Gresven. Standard build orders this time around from both players, as Elazer went for a hatchery into a gas geyser and then a spawning pool. SpeCial went for a quick gas into a barracks, although I say that, he actually hasn't started up a Reaper yet. So this could be, I guess, a quick factory right now on the back of this. You really do need some Marines though. Yeah, okay, I was gonna say, if you skip the Marines entirely, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Okay, now from what I understand, game number 1 was spicy, game number 2 was spicy, Apparently, game number 3 is the spiciest of them all. Again, I haven't seen it yet. Can I tell you what I do know? Okay, so small spoiler, okay? Small spoiler, maybe mute me if you don't want to hear it. From what I understand, this game is going to be very painful to watch. Maybe very exciting to watch. Because one of these two players is going to get very far ahead and then throw it away. From what I understand, this particular match right here on Gressfin is the biggest throw of the Gamers Without Borders tournament. Okay, so we'll find out together. What exactly is the plan right here, SpeCial? Why are we saving gas while we go for a quick gas? Okay, I think... So he's only making things right here that, well, I guess other than the reactor, but he's basically only making things right here that cost minerals. I think he's trying to save up a lot of gas right here to go for a cheeky little starport play. And honestly, I've been watching a lot of SpeCial games. Whenever he does this sort of opener, it can really only be because he wants to go for battle cruisers. So battle cruisers usually require you to take a really quick third gas geyser. And this is obviously something that this Overlord can figure out, right? This Overlord will probably poke forward here in a little bit, see if the gases are taken in the natural, and if not, okay, great. It's unlikely, yeah, there's the fusion core. It's unlikely that my opponent decides to go for a battlecruiser play. So SpeCial in this particular case, yeah. He is getting away with a double gas opener, but he's still going to be able to afford a battlecruiser here eventually, which is kind of nice. Anyways, link speed is going to finish up here. One Hellion is sacrificing itself, mostly just for the scout. One problem, obviously, you can run into here as Terran is that, yeah, sure, you can go for a really quick battlecruiser, but if you have a bunch of roaches knocking at your front door at like the 4.5 minute mark, and your battlecruiser isn't out yet, you're in a lot of trouble. I mean, eventually the battlecruiser can kill it all, but in the meantime, you'll probably lose all of your SCVs. So, one Hellion sacrificing himself for the greater good. He's gonna be going, into another tech lab here as well. Interesting. So what exactly, there's the BC started up. What exactly is the follow-up going to be right here for SpeCial? He's still making Marines. I think SpeCial's the kind of guy, especially on Gressfin, who will be more than happy to play Terran Mech. Because there are quite a few of these bases available, right? You can take 5 expansions, or I guess 5 base, relatively easily. So I think that probably makes sense, although he did just lift off the factory after making a tech lab here, so this is all a little bit funky. Maybe it's to sell the story right here to Elazer that he's definitely not going to be playing Terran Mech because, well, he made a lot of Marines and he now also shows the factory. So maybe if that's the case, you know, he can switch to Terran Mech a little bit more comfortably, although this could definitely also be bio. It really depends on what structures he's going to be adding on next. Is it going to be barracks or is it going to be factories? We'll have to find out. Okay, it is going to be barracks. Fair enough. Yeah. So after the 3rd CC, battlecruiser number 1 is coming out. And I say number 1, the only reason to go for the Yamato cannon upgrade, the weapon refit research, is because you want to go for multiple battlecruisers. There's the battlecruiser going straight across the map. Fair enough. Apparently it did not fly into the pillar over here. That would be a little bit dangerous. Queens in the main base, though, together with a Spore Crawler, are waiting for like a potential Banshee or maybe a Liberator, something along those lines. How many drones is he going to be able to get? Honestly, so far, really not that many. Another battlecruiser does start up. In the meantime, though, Elazer, yeah, he can hold down the drone button. There's really not that many units on the back of this. He's seen the Marine count. I mean, I guess the Marines could go across the map, but that would be a little bit crazy. That would be a little uncommon at the very least. I think he's fine holding down the drone button. Just saturating 3 bases as quickly as possible. And I would like to see Elazer putting down a Spire as well, immediately, as soon as this lair is done, which it is right now, although he needs 200 gas for it. I think that's probably what he's going to do, as he's not getting any other upgrades and he's not getting any Evo chambers or something along those lines. Ooh, okay, he's prioritizing the Baneling speed, which surprises me a little bit. The main thing is, right, is that, okay, against one battlecruiser, sure, Queens and Spores, you drop the mule to repair it, Queens and Spores are gonna be okay. Against multiple battlecruisers, however, I really feel like you do need a Spire. He's gotta find out that it is indeed a 2nd BC here momentarily. And I wonder if we're gonna see continuous BC production or if we're gonna stick only to 2. No, we're gonna go for just the 2 of them, fair enough. Battlecruiser number 2, though, is joining in with battlecruiser number 1. Do you go for a Spire now? I mean, this is all pretty late. There's the Yamato gun. That's an indicator, too, of course, that well, there are quite a bit of these damage dealers available already. 4 additional barracks, by the way, on the back of this. He is powering out tons of units. Yeah, okay, no, he's just gonna stick around on Lingbane Queen for now. Fair enough. In the meantime, though, there is a large group of Lings and Banes. The Marine count is not to be underestimated, though. So we're at 28 Marines, but no medevacs just yet. Man, SpeCial, he's been learning the rules of StarCraft 2, and then everything he's learned over the last decade and a half, he's been throwing that out of the window over the last few months. Just completely reinventing his playstyle, and I gotta say, I love it. It's so much fun to watch. As weird as it is certainly incredibly powerful. Okay, so once again, quick burrow here. I really like burrow myself, mostly because I owe army hotkey a little too much. But burrowing Zerglings in your opponent's future expansions can be incredibly nice, because with a build like this, it's not like SpeCial is gonna have a ton of command centers, right? It's not like he's gonna have a dozen, well, scans available like you do with some of the other Terran builds. He's gonna have a little bit of a harder time securing expansions, plus you can freely use the F2 button, the all army hotkey. I don't think it's a bad call at all. That being said, SpeCial is ready to transition, right? He's got 1-1 done, he's gonna go straight into 2-2. Here's the push actually in the middle of the map. Should I back up for just a second? Nah, looks like the Terran actually wasn't that committed yet. There was only a couple of units and they got saved right there inside of the medevac. In the meantime, battlecruisers here taking a bunch of damage, but they've already killed quite a bit. As long as you keep these units alive, you can obviously repair them too. Tactical jump, sure, it can be used offensively, but I think it's even better defensively at this stage in the game. Look how much damage they've already done. Every time there's a Yamato cannon available, they should be getting at the very least a queen, and losing these units over time really does kind of suck. Usually Terrans, they tend to like sort of lose these battlecruisers as the game goes on, and obviously I understand that there's a lot to micro, but look at this. If anything, it's amazing at cleaning out all of those creep tumors and sniping a couple queens here and there. It's easy, of course, to judge the pro gamer's decisions from the sidelines, right? As a commentator, as a viewer, it can be easy to look at this and be like, oh my god, he shouldn't be losing a battlecruiser like that. It's just really easy to accidentally slip up in a game of StarCraft 2, but it's much cheaper to repair than it is to make a new one of these guys, and obviously it also costs you a little bit less time. Okay. Still, Elazer has got a stellar economy here. Yeah. He's all the way up to 85 drones. He's going into infestors. He's going into 2-2. Hydralisk Den coming up. Pathogen glands researching. This is basically everything you need to take a Zerg to the late game. Here's the battlecruisers once again. I wouldn't have minded seeing a Spire. I don't think it would be a bad idea. Still, adding on a Spire would not be a bad call. That's a lot of Lings and Banes, by the way, but the spawning pool itself is now under pressure. Under pressure! Okay, he's gonna be able to shut it down, though. Just gonna be kind of annoying. Yeah, you don't actually realize how long it takes to build a spawning pool until you have to make a spawning pool, you know, at the 10-minute mark, and then suddenly you realize, wait a second, this structure actually takes forever. Here's a push at the top section of the map, and this can actually be incredibly good for SpeCial, because there's not that many Banes, and obviously not that many Zerglings available either. Elazer ends up losing a huge chunk of his army. Matter of fact, dropping the main base, still being annoying. I think he's got a Hydra then. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a large group of Hydras here, but I guess he wants to save it. Okay, the burrow coming in handy over there as well, as it blows up a lot of the Marines. Here's that fungal growth, though. Fungal growth prevents the movement abilities on these units. So, well, if they would have technical jump available, they wouldn't be able to use it to get out of here. But, well, they didn't have that ability available anyways. Medevac drop going straight into the main base right now as well. So he's gonna try and just shut down this lair here too. With the lair gone, obviously the hive is gonna be far behind this too. In order to go for a lair, you now need a spawning pool, which I guess just finished. So at least he's gonna be able to stabilize here, I believe, but at this point SpeCial is incredibly ahead. Okay. Couple Yamato cannons once again. Tactical jump is available, so they're mostly just supporting this this bio army over here, trying to be annoying. Medevac drop on the left side of the map too, trying to just pile on the pressure. And this is looking really good right now for SpeCial, man. SpeCial is incredibly ahead in this game. A big fungal growth over there, fair enough. One thing that SpeCial hasn't done, though, is really killed that much of his opponents. Okay, well, there's more burrowed mainlings over here. It's a fantastic comeback mechanic, besides just being nice at, you know, blocking future expansions, I suppose. Anyways, yeah, just shutting down your opponent's hatcheries can be kind of nice, but it's important not to get carried away with assuming your advantage. Sometimes in a game of StarCraft 2, you think, okay, I'm so far ahead right now, there's absolutely no way I can lose, but there's still 65 drones available right now for Elazer, right? Which is nothing to scoff at. He still has good damage as well. He's got burrow, he's got some comeback potential there too, and fungal growths, and, well, there's a fungal growth landing on top of some of those Marines and Marauders. Siege tanks in the back, a lot of low HP units. They're gonna need a moment to be healed up right here by the medevacs. Did the battle cruisers go back home? Yeah, they did go back home. One SCV, okay, he's gonna get a little bit of help. Tasked with bringing these guys back up to full HP. Look at them, man. It's like a transformer here. They're becoming, it's a new Terran unit. That's insane, man. It's like the Power Rangers. At the end of every episode, when they couldn't kill the bad guy, they decided to come together in one big machine, and suddenly they could do it. I feel like it was the same plot every time. Anyhow, this is the Terran equivalent over here, man. We just need a couple more. If we have, like, the Uber battle cruiser, that would be insane. But already, that was looking kind of lethal. Anyways, Ghost Academy coming up. 4 additional command centers coming up right now as well for SpeCial. SpeCial securing his position in this game, making sure that he is gonna be alright. Okay, another fungal growth would be really sweet. The Hydras actually, okay, you know what? The Hydras just ended up killing like 5 or... That was close. The Hydras just ended up killing like 5 of those medevacs, which really is kind of painful. SpeCial needs to be careful. Yeah, it's easy to look at this and be like, I'm so far ahead, I can't lose this game anymore, but you gotta make sure you don't give away too many of, well, your units for free, right? For obvious reasons. +3/+2 starts up. Yeah, you gotta keep dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's, because, well, it's not over until it's over. Here's the infestors hiding on the ground, accumulating a little bit more energy once more. SpeCial is now at the point, though, where he's got command centers, and he can start giving up some of his SCVs, right? He's got so many command centers that he can replace SCVs with mules instead. Mules don't cost any supply, SCVs do. So the main advantage there is that you can just dedicate more of your maximum of 200 supply to attacking units, which is pretty sweet. Another base just got killed, but Elazer, okay, coming in. Another hatchery actually just got sniped as well. That is rough right there for the Polish Zerg. He's coming in, he is surrounding his army, he does clean up a good chunk of the units too. Fungal growth here would be really... Oh, they're actually queens! Oh, I thought they were infestors. They're queens. Interesting. Yeah, sorry, I confused you. Oh my god, another 4 medevacs, I think, ended up going down just now. That kind of sucks. Banelings over here will be denied, but Fungal Grove, once again, is going to connect with a large chunk of those units. I don't know why the queens are on the ground. I have no idea. Brenda! Karen! Come back! Put down some creep tumor. Spread the creep around the map. Come on, you guys need to put in your work. Apparently this is lunch break right here. Don't scan SpeCial. Don't do it, okay? You know they're there. Just let them be. Okay, thank you, SpeCial. Here we go, though. Once again, the queens with the surround. Brenda and Karen coming in from the side. But maybe more importantly, the fungal growth over there once again connects with a large chunk of all of those units. Planetary Fortress over here, right now in a little bit of trouble. Where is the Terran army? SpeCial has got money, sure. He's got income, sure. But he doesn't have units anymore right now to actually keep this base alive. 18 SCVs have gone down. SpeCial maybe getting a little carried away right now, trying to create... well, a perfect game for himself, trying to take a page out of Maru's book, but he is taking way too much damage from all those fungal growths. One key thing that SpeCial hasn't done yet, that Maru certainly would have in this particular game, is transition towards ghosts. He's sticking around on a low-tier army against a much better, a mid-game based army right here for the Zerg. Sure, this isn't the ultimate Zerg army by any stretch of the imagination, but it's much better than just Marines, Marauders, and Siege tanks. And medevacs, sorry about you guys, I almost forgot you, but this is a scary Zerg force, you can't underestimate it. If you don't have a counter to spellcasters, most notably those infestors, and you keep taking fungal growths to the face, you still have a chance at losing the game. you can, it's not over until it's over, right? So maybe if you're Björn, right? Maybe if you're Björn and you play a game of StarCraft 2 like this, maybe you can split against those fungals and not really take a lot of damage. You can negate it. When you see SpeCial, or sorry, when you see Björn doing it, you, may think, okay, I also have a chance at pulling it off, but SpeCial, at least in this game, has not been microing like Micro Jackson, and he's been taking more damage than he should have. He's trying to take this base over here at the bottom of the map right now, but this is becoming a little desperate. Main base and the natural are basically running out. With this many mules at the third, it's gonna run out very quickly as well. SpeCial needs to get a new base going, and he needs it very soon. Once again, though, a lot of money in the bank right here for Elazer. Okay, he's gonna end up losing one hatchery over here. Does he have an Ultra Cavern or something like that? No, he doesn't have an Ultra Cavern, I don't think. It's just gonna be Lingbane Hydra with Spellcasters for support. I did see a Ghost on the production tab, by the way, so that's obviously the main reason, this unit composition right here from the Zerg, why we haven't been seeing a lot of Ghosts. Usually against Hydra Bane, Ghosts aren't that great, but they're still a good backbone. Right? Like, you can still rely on them to constantly deal damage. I also think we're missing a little bit of a Sim City over here, where... yeah, units would be funneled through those choke points, and at this point, Elazer has been able to spread creep all over the map once again. Okay, so, Elazer was down and out a couple minutes ago, but he's been taking some phenomenal engagements, he's been trading incredibly efficiently, and because of that, he has now found himself in a very playable position once again. If we look at resources lost, that is way too many resources lost right there for our Terran player, man. I mean, he did lose the 2 battlecruisers there too in the end. I loved the early game. I loved the beginning of the mid game too. But the late game so far certainly is not looking quite as dominant. Alright, so. Elazer getting more and more upgrades. SpeCial for getting the +3 infantry weapons, which certainly hurts as well. Look at the Hydraling Bane just rolling forward here. The siege tanks, they don't have any upgrades either, which really is noticeable in these fights. Against the +2 carapace on these ground units, they just don't deal nearly as much damage anymore if you compare it to the start of the game. Zerg is actually starting to take fights right now that are incredibly good for him. He's got 63 workers, so that's certainly not the optimal amount to actually really produce Hydraling Bane in big numbers, but when you take fights like the one that Elazer has been taking so far, it certainly is very playable. Hydra over here pretending to be a Zergling, fair enough. It's maybe a little bit expensive to block an expansion with that. Medevac drop over here in the bottom left-hand corner, once again getting shut down too. SpeCial has been losing fight after fight after fight, and honestly, most of them were unnecessary. He wants to take another base. He needs to take another base, okay. Fungal growth, not gonna happen. EMP did happen as well, so maybe they didn't have enough energy there. Obviously, they can't cast fungal from Burrow. Anyhow, Zerg needs to secure, or sorry, Terran needs to secure another base. Zerg has a lot of mineral fields still left over. He was a little slower on those expansions, of course, because he was under a lot of pressure, but he's getting them going right now. These guys are becoming neighbors, expanding right next to one another. Yeah, just sticking around on Hydraling Bane Infestor. It's not something we usually see, right? Just using the Hive here mostly for upgrades. Adrenal Glands is done. +3 is going to finish up here as well for the Zerg player. I actually really quite like this. Just a relatively mid-game focused army, but if Terran doesn't transition towards a late-game army themselves, they're not even getting siege tank upgrades. I don't think you really necessarily need to switch to higher tier units as Zerg yourself either. Maybe an Ultra Cavern would be nice to have here, just in case we once again slip up on the Queen Ejects, right? Just in case we need something that is very larva efficient, but anyways. Elazer doesn't have a lot of gas. He's got a ton of Zerglings though, and he is thinking about taking another fight over here. Here comes the Swarm once again. This is an engagement that seems a little dicey, but the siege tanks they just deal no damage, man. They just stand there and they shoot, I guess, but they don't actually finish off any of the units that they would be if they had +2 or +3. And in the end, it's Elazer who obtains the victory after losing a roach to an SCV in game number 1.